Welcome everyone. This is Melissa from Whole Woman, Whole You, and I welcome you to our topic of nature as a stress reliever. And I have as my guest today a dear friend and fellow life coach, Helen Kosinski. Did I say that right, Helen, too? Last name? Okay. Helen is like, as I was starting with these topics, the first person that came to mind because I've actually worked with Helen as a participant in one of her retreats. She is a professional certified coach through the ICF board, which means that she's gone through several trainings to become certified, and it's a big deal. It's a lot of work, and she's worked with lots of people in order to get the time to be able to do that. But some interesting parts that meet our topic are her training in adventure and retreats, and also as an equine guided educator. Can you tell us a bit about those and how they add to your coaching, Helen? I'm interested in the equine guided educator.
Sure, be happy to. The equine guided educator, I actually went out to California and participated in 2 different trainings there. And horses are really intuitive. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but they really, really are. And so we use the horses in round pen sessions with people who had things that they wanted to be working on for coaching. So for example, one of the people that we talked with, she didn't feel a sense of community. She had lost her mother. She'd recently gotten divorced. And in that training, we were working with one horse in the pen, but there was a whole bunch of horses out in the field, and they all came in.
Oh, wow.
Circled that pen as she was talking about the fact that she wanted community. And it was astounding.
That gave me goosebumps.
It's making me like, oh my gosh, because it was like, this is your community. You already have your community, now just use it. So that's just one example of some of the types of things that can be uncovered and worked through with horses because they are so intuitive. The adventure and retreat training, I went through that in early 2007, and then started offering my women's walking retreats here on Cape Cod in the fall of 2007. And I've been doing 1 or 2 retreats each spring and fall for years, since 2007.
And there's beautiful areas over there that you get to take advantage of that are near and dear to my heart. That's one of my favorite experiences. I grew up on the Cape, for everyone who's watching. And so where Helen does her retreats, one of the locations is National Seashore on the coast of the Cape. And that's my special happy place. But to go through the retreat with you even made it was like a whole new way of doing it. It was really amazing because we had that sense of community, but also you gave us time to be alone. So I thought that was amazing.
The place that we're doing it now is Nickerson State Park because
great.
The Mother Nature has decided that some of the cliffs for the National Seashore are no longer safe. So I had to do my retreat. So now we're doing it in Nickerson State Park, and what's great about that is we get to circle a pond. So
that's neat.
And actually get to spend time on sand. And
that's great.
It is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I remember Nickerson too from when I was little. That's beautiful. So the first question I want to start with, which I know we kind of launched into a bit, I picked nature as one of the topics as the balance reserves because I think it's really important for so many different reasons towards our stress relief. So that was one of the ideas of if we have nature in our life, then and we can find little spots of that, it helps ground us is one of the basics that you always hear, because and there's lots of reasons why I think that it's important, but I was just interested in why you think nature is such an important part of stress relief, because I know you've implemented it so much in your practice.
Well, there's a couple reasons, but one of the biggest reasons if you go into nature and you leave all your electronics in the car or at home, and you're really immersed in nature, it really gives you permission to just be. And I think that's one of the things that's key to the grounding piece of it. But in addition to that, you're using all of your senses that oftentimes get neglected. You're listening for, oh, I heard that bird, I heard this bird. Oh, what's rustling in the, the leaves? Or you're listening to the crunch as you're walking. You're feeling that, the ground, the solidness underneath you. You might go up and touch a leaf. I've been on retreats where the person knew enough about berries and which ones to eat and not eat. So she was able to help that retreat to be able to even experience taste.
Oh, that's great.
And smell is another really big factor, because that connects us to a lot of our history. So you talked about coming to the retreat and, walking on the path. Well, probably as you hit that path, that smell of the forest triggered all kinds of fun memories for you. And we get so wrapped in technology and, oh, I got to get this done, I got to get this done, I've got this to-do list, I've got, oh, how am I going to get all this done? That when we stop and we're really just present, it's amazing how much our bodies go, whew, and we just are able to let the stress go.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, it's that quietness is so important, and in addition to just nature, but having time to be alone with ourselves and our thoughts. And you're right, the electronics and even just the pull of all our to-dos at home. I think another big factor for me too is the idea of there's something bigger out there than just us. And I know that that's like means so many different things, but even that idea that you can feel, feeling small is actually a good thing, because then you realize you're only one little part of all of this stuff going on. It sounds like it's scary, but I think when you're in nature and you realize, wait, all this stuff's happening on its own as it's meant to be, and I'm only one little part, and so it's a all okay kind of a feeling.
And Melissa, I think with that goes with the ability to let go of control. Because if you're only one little piece of all this work, you're out there, you're seeing, all these birds, you're seeing the ocean, you're seeing the sand, you're seeing the leaves. You don't have any control over that. And it's still happening. And it's happening the way it should.
Should, exactly.
So that can be really freeing and give you a sense of, oh, I don't have to be the puppeteer on everything in the world.
Yeah, and I don't think we have many points in our life that we schedule in that we get that in other ways. Yeah. Because I think we are a society that really controls a lot of things in our life.
Or we think we can.
We think we do. We don't really. We try to, which is exhausting. It's exhausting, yeah.
It is. It is.
So how are some of the ways, because I know you have different retreats that you do and you have different activities you do within the retreats, what are some of the ways that you help people in this process of using nature?
Well, the biggest, I think, and the most impactful way I do for each of the retreats, and you talked about it, when I meet with the folks for the retreats, we meet in the parking lot and everybody's excited. And, what are we going to do? And if you haven't attended, it's like, oh, I'm nervous. I'm not sure what's going to happen here today. And the first thing that we do is each person takes a trail, and usually it's 10 or 15 minutes, all by themselves, in silence, to just walk that path. They can take their time, they can investigate, they can stop, they can take it at their own pace. And it's magical because I'm at the other end of the trail. And when they come off of that trail, the big broad grins on their faces, and you can just see their shoulders are lower, and they've been able to take 10 minutes on their own, in silence, in nature, and just enjoy that. And I really think that that's one of the biggest things that people can do, and they can do it on their own. we don't tend to, but that's for the retreats, that's probably the most impactful component of it. Then that prepares us for being able to feel comfortable to share and to really be in nature and use nature to help us bring out that creativity, the intuitiveness, just all the wonderful things that are benefits of being out in nature.
I think it's funny. I can so remember that walk too, and the connection that you feel to the participants, even as, you know, I know you timed it out and we came through, but some people would stop. And so you'd kind of cross paths, but just kind of like, you know, send your greeting and kind of move through. But because you were doing it, even though it was an individual thing, but watching other people do their thing too, it's like you had this amazing connection with them. So by the time we shared, even though we hadn't been doing it together, it was really cool. Yeah. And I think that that's a good point too, that people could take time with friends, but do it and like take the time for that. That's a good way to do it. So they feel safe on a trail, right. But have time to themselves too. Make that agreement up front. They could easily.
Yeah, that's right. And it doesn't have to be for the whole time that they're out there. It can just be for a small portion of it.
Great. Any other activities that you, so you did the individual part and then the reflection together.
The reflection. The other thing is, you know, I think I'm part of the last generation that used to go out and play in nature. And so that's the other part of the retreats. Something that I've added to some of the retreats. We bring bubbles. And so we're blowing bubbles out in nature. But even if you are sitting on a beach and building a little sandcastle or something, they're going back to this sense of fun. And what a huge stress reliever that is. To have fun, even just wading out into the water and feeling that on your feet and playing with your feet in the sand, it can just make a huge difference.
That's one of the other topics that I cover too. And it was actually one we just did, because I think it's super important to find little ways to be playful and just, yeah, to just be again, however, and it's true. Like we had a lot of freedom when we were younger that kids aren't able to take advantage of now. So no, that's cool. And that's another way that people can kind of find that too, on their own to think about. So what are some, so we kind of alluded to this, but do you have some big, like maybe we've really already touched it. What would you then maybe summarize are some of the things that viewers could do on their own that would have a big impact? So if they were to take the idea of the retreats or idea of being in nature and then some things that they could take with them to kind of.
Well, there's a couple things that we have talked about it, and there's one that I'm going to suggest at the end that we haven't spoken about, but absolutely, if you can just spend, and people think, oh, I don't have time to do a long time in nature, but researchers have found that if you walk in nature for 10 to 15 minutes, and that can be around your neighborhood, just getting outside. And if you're walking, the benefits from a physical standpoint, you know, your heart, depression, I mean, it's all these keeping disease at bay. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the benefits. And it doesn't, you know, 10 or 15 minutes, that's doable. And if you're not able to walk, even just going out, say you're in a building at work and getting out and walking around the building, taking a couple deep breaths and then coming in, that could be 3 or 4 minutes. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of time, but it can really spark your memory. It can spark creativity. It can reduce anger. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits to just getting out in nature. One of the other things that I read recently was that if you can't get out in nature, so say it is New England in the winter,
and you physically can't open your door,
can't get out, just looking outside or finding a picture, or even there's a lot of meditation videos that have beautiful scenery. So even they found that even just looking at pictures in nature can have an incredible benefit as well. So
I saw that too.
yeah, so you don't even have to physically get out of the house. I read another really interesting study that said that patients in hospitals, they did a study, and even because the people are bedridden, even one green plant had an amazing impact on a person's anxiety and their ability to heal. So imagine just one little plant.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a wow. It was like, wow,
Yeah.
anytime I'm going to go visit somebody in the hospital, I'm going to bring them a plant.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to be big gestures.
Hmm.
Take a lot of time for you to reap the benefits.
I think that's the biggest key to my whole program, like my whole message, is no matter what the topic is we're talking about, just those little bits of doing something a little bit and getting it started is so much more important than making it so big that you can't do it.
Or
That's really, yeah, because then you're saying it's too much, or I've got to prep this, or I got to do that. So starting simple is definitely, on all the subject matter, is just the better way to go. But that, even that green plant idea now too is really cool, because I'm thinking back to going back to working in an office that may not have windows and may not have that. So the green plants or even a picture of nature is something that could help a lot.
And actually, when I was in corporate, I had sunsets all over my office. I didn't know that that was a benefit, but now that you bring that up, that's one of the things maybe that they come.
Excellent. Well, any other pointers or?
Well, I have a quote that I wanted to share, and it's by John Burroughs, and he was a naturalist and an essayist. And he said, "I go to nature to be soothed and healed and to put all my senses in order." And I really feel like that describes the power of what nature can do. We go there to de-stress, we go there to invigorate, and we really go there to align and ground. And that quote really seems to sum that up.
That's really great. And as you were saying that too, I was thinking, we're talking about, and we're obviously, you and I are both in green places right now because we have but there are people that are going to be in cities. And so taking advantage of some of the green space in cities now, which has actually become, there's some amazing parks and even some of the smaller towns that don't have, that people might not have a lot of yards, or they might be living in apartments. So there's ways to even find that peace and that soothing, sense outside in their own community.
And if they're working in a city, being able to go to a park during lunch and sit on the bench. And granted, you'll be there with lots and lots of other people, but still, there's something really refreshing about doing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Helen, so much for joining me today. I know that it's been a busy summer, so I appreciate you taking time with us. And I look forward, I'm looking forward to one of the fall ones. I'm really going to try and make it this.
Oh, yay. Well, thank you so much for including me, Melissa. I'm so honored to be part of this series, and it's been fun talking about nature. So
and anyone else interested who might be local or who even wants to work with Helen virtually, because there's all different ways that we can coach. She's at, her website is betterthanevercoaching.com. And it will be posted shortly on this, the end of this video. And also it'll be posted on my website, so that if anyone's interested in reaching you, Helen, themselves, or participating in one of the retreats, they'll be able to find you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Take care.
Too.